Hello. It's Riikka here today with a card tutorial or card themed Facebook Live. I'm using one of the new collections called Pretty Mosaic. But before we start, let's just check that you can see and hear me correctly or okay. And then let's get going. As always, Sharon is here to help, so if you have any questions, I'll try to watch the comment section as I'm crafting, but I'll go through the comments after the show. So if there's anything you want to ask, then just let us know. Hi Sharon, hi Sonika, thank you for joining today. Like I said, we are working with one of the new collections called Pretty Mosaic. I don't have much of it, but I'll show what I have of that collection, and it's perfect for Valentine's Day because the patterns are so sweet. And, well, there's a lot of pinks, but if you're not a pink person, there's also this kind of minty tones that go so well with the pink. Hi Claudia! I'm guessing you are hearing and seeing me okay. And somebody else said hi, but hi everybody, thank you for joining. So, the first thing, hey Annabella, first thing I want to ask is which card I should do. They both look the same, but this one opens like this. I guess it's gatefold. And then this one is kind of the basic card. As I'm making the card base myself, you can decide which one would you like to see me create now. The embellishments, as you can see, are similar in both, so there's not a huge difference. All the steps are the same, but only difference is how I cut it and how well the embellishments are then adhered, because this one needs to get open. Oh, thank you, Claudia. So which one do you prefer? Hey Malla, bye. This one or this one? Let me start cutting the piece of cardstock already. Both are awesome. Well, if you think both are awesome, then I'm doing this because it's a bit easier. But if you would do the gatefold, it's just folding the piece of paper otherwise, and then remembering that you need to adhere everything to the other side so you don't adhere the card shut. Right, so this one. This is A4 sized, European size, so it's 21 centimeters times 21, which is approximately 8 1/4 of an inch. And then if I'm doing the right one, let's just score it in the middle, which is 10.5 in centimeters. No, not 11.5, but 10.5. Like so. And here we have the card base ready to go. The DT box contains some of the Pretty Mosaic, but I used it to make samples already. So the biggest pad I have is actually this, journaling note cards. And let's go through it. They are 4 inches by 6 inches and double-sided as always, so you can use either side. This one is kind of the minty color, and then there's the pinks. The kind of B sides are these grungy looking patterns, whereas the A sides have the flowers. Yeah, these collections are brand new, so they are just hitting the stores. But naturally you can use any Prima paper for this card. I just love the combination of the kind of dark wine red with the pink and then the minty shades. Such a versatile patterns as well, because there's the polka dot here, and then there's, well, kind of another dot, more kind of classical Prima with the flowers. So whether you are kind of looking for modern patterns or the then blooms, they have it both. And these are the two I picked out. So as you can see, there's a line in between. Upper part has this kind of sequin look in there, and the other one has this crackle. So even if you don't have a big sheet of paper, you are probably... Hello, Nettan! You're probably good to use two pieces, because you can always kind of mask the line between. I added just all the embellishments to the center, so you really can't tell that there's that line. Or you can build a kind of composition out of flowers on top, just to hide the seam. Let me see, this is correct size that it is. So it was 21, so 10 and a half if I'm putting it halfway. Oops, let's move that away. And then 10 and a half. Maybe I'll put 11 so I overlap them a little bit so there's no gap between the two. Hello there! If you're just joining in, I've just started making a kind of Valentine's card using the new Pretty Mosaic. And I made my own card base, and now I'm adhering the papers on top from the 6x4 journaling card pad. And I forgot the double-sided tape. Luckily it's not far away. I was thinking I don't need it because of all the other layers I adhered using just craft glue, but I need it for this. Double-sided tape. If you're new to crafting, double-sided tape is really handy for paper layers, as any kind of wet adhesive like glue or gel medium will warp the paper as the fibers in the paper expand. So a dry adhesive such as double-sided tape is really, hey Satu, really handy on those cases. Just adhering this. I really like the little sequence pattern here. It's so cute. And then this one. And here we have the base for the card. If you would like this part, the actual card base, to stay pristine white, then mount by all means it on top of another sheet, and then as the last touch add it to the card base. I'm always doing like this because I'm a messy crafter and I find it easier to just adhere it to the card base at this stage. But if you want it pure white, then preferably put another piece underneath. So then next, I can't do anything without some mediums. So the Impasto paint, Boudoir Pink, kind of matches the color scheme wonderfully. It's a bit warmer shade of pink, but still goes nicely to here. I'm just randomly applying it to the background. If you think this is too harsh, you can always add just gesso or then leave it out, depending on your style. I just love to layer different mediums, and it's kind of acting as a base for the whole thing. Kind of sets my mind that everything is now coming on top. Acrylic paints are really fast drying, but let me just quickly dry this. There we go. Then let's add some pattern. And for the rosy kind of Valentine's theme, I chose this pattern from the Stick and Style stencils. This one is called Tea Rose. So I'll add it here. And as I usually layer a lot of mediums in my crafts and kind of go with the flow, now that I have done the example cards already, I know what I'm going to use on top. But when I'm kind of going with the flow, letting the project lead me when I'm doing crafts, these versions, the Color Philosophy permanent inks, are better for me than the water reactive, because when I then add watercolor on top or just add splashes on top, the other inks will start to bleed. Not that it matters, it's a lovely effect, but if I want to steer away from that kind of problem or issue, then the permanent inks are good. Again, I'm just kind of going around and around the composition I have already in my mind. Then a little bit of stamping still. I'm using the same ink as I did the patterns and just add some random text here. Have you seen the new Finnabar stencils, by the way? Aren't they awesome? If you want to see them, I do have, come on, focus, thank you. I do have them as well, so if you want to see, I can go fetch them and we can go through them. But I'm sure that there's a lot of lives coming with those new Finnabar stuff as well. Now that I have kind of the medium layers done, then it's just doing the layers on top. I do have a doily here someplace. There it is. So these are just paper doilies. I thought that they are sweet, so they go nicely to the Valentine's theme. Yeah, I know. I wanted all the stencils when I saw them as well. The patterns are so awesome in the Finnabar stencils. So let's add this. It's kind of the center of attention here. And then kind of continuing with the theme, I used or started by the layout I last did. I created a couple of embellishments for the card using just paper. The first one is this heart. It's just 3 hearts stacked on top, cut from the 4x6 pad and then sewed together. So when it's ready, I can kind of lift this up a little, and it's a dimensional embellishment. Really easy to do. Just, this was my kind of pattern for it. So just really easy. And you can create whatever shape. I just created a heart for the kind of Valentine's effect, but you could add more layers, or you could do a ball or bauble for a Christmas card. Whatever kind of shapes that are the same on both sides. And that's my focal point. Let's add that in. You need at least 3 layers, because one of the layers is where you attach it to the base, and then a couple of layers to make it bulkier. Naturally, if you have more layers, you can make it even more kind of dimensional looking. The reason is why there's only 3 layers in my heart is that there were only 3 papers of the same color, and as I was doing 2 cards as an example and then needed to do 1 more heart for the actual project, I couldn't add more layers. Naturally, if I would use different patterns on this, but I wanted the heart to have the beautiful dark tone. Here's the other one. If you're doing this kind of gatefold, I just cut the doily in half, adhere it to the both sides, and then the main embellishments need to be adhered only to the other side. Otherwise you just glue your card shut. The same idea as with the layout. These little flowery embellishments are done using the leftovers from the 2 sheets I used here. So let's see if I need them for this one. Maybe make it a little bit fuller. And then another dimensional thing which I kind of rediscovered is these little fan type of things. Really easy to do. Again, adding dimensional things to your crafts. I did a sample layout for one of the collections using this idea, and it's really easy. They do need a little bit of drying time with adhesive, but again, something you can do just by using paper. So let's get one of the minty colored, maybe that one or that one. So many to choose from. That's what I used for those. I'm thinking I'm going with the dotted one here. Let's see. Maybe I'll do about 6 centimeters and then cut it in half. My paper cutter has both the blade for cutting and also for scoring. Just swapping it with the other one. And then I can add the scores. Naturally, if you have a scoreboard, that's also, or then you just fold it. Prima papers are thick, they are cardstock, so it's easier if you have something to score with. But if you have a metal ruler and a knitting needle, like you use for knitting socks, like the thin one, then you can create the scores using those. if you really want to be doing this perfectly, then measure it. I'm more like, well, just getting it done, so my scores aren't probably perfect, but it'll work. Like so. Then I just accordion fold it. So really easy. And now let's switch the blade. Come on. Again to the cutting one. And then I cut it in half. So I have the two little fans done or scored together. If you want, you can actually do them one by one as well. Then I'll add some glue here. And push it. This takes a little bit of time. Whoops. If you have our daily, those kind of paper clips, you can use those. Or just, depending what glue you are using. Mine seems not to be working this time. When I did the two, they adhered quickly, but maybe I'll grab the clasps. And then the other one. And while these are adhering, do you want to see a little bit more of the collection? I have the ephemera pack here, if you want to see what kind of goodies there are there. Trying to adhere just the ends so I can then fan this out. Hello! If you're just joining in, I'm now building three-dimensional paper layers, one with stone hearts on top of each other, so they make a dimensional heart, and these little fans are just getting adhered. So let's move to these. I'm not actually using these in these cards, but I wanted to grab them so you can see. So there's hearts, little tags. Wonderful! And these have these beautiful golden foil accents. A lot of butterflies. And oh, I need to show you this. This was my favorite. A little bee. This one is gorgeous, like a little wreath, how do you say? Teacups. I love black tea, so always handy. Teeny tiny tickets. Look at that golden one. Isn't it cute? More teacups. Then some bigger pieces, music notes, beautiful blooms, and then in good company. I think we are now in good company, don't you think? So they go back to wait for another project. Let's see if these are now okay. Yeah, they are. Keeping their shape. And one more thing, these are ready bought paper straws, but naturally you can use the Prima papers to make these. Easy dimensional embellishments, but just roll some pattern paper around your brush, for example, and then you have dimensional paper embellishments ready to go. But for this we don't need so long straws. Just a little piece, and then I need a little bit of extra from that one. I'm just tucking these kind of between the layers, going for a diagonal composition using the different elements. I think we need some flowers. So again, if you're new to fussy cutting, I use scissors for that. You can use a craft knife as well, but always remember that the pattern is moving and your scissors stay put. A lot easier that way than the other way around, because then you end up with all sorts of not ergonomical positions. Contortionist, is that the right word? And I think we don't need that much, so I'm just doing this so you don't have to see me cut the other side. And then let's see, I can almost tuck it in. Just a little bit of this. Whenever you are adhering something, I try to remember not to adhere the actual edge thoroughly. So if I want to do something like this, afterwards tuck something underneath, I still can do it, because if it's secured all the way through, then adding something, a little layer underneath, is really hard afterwards. Naturally, if you're building the composition kind of ready and then start adhering, then by all means use as much glue or double-sided tape, but I'm kind of going with the flow, like I said earlier. So to me it's easier to leave a little bit of edge where I can then just tuck the thing in. Here we go. If you're just joining in, I'm using one of the new collections called Pretty Mosaic, and creating kind of Valentine's Day inspired card using it. Kind of a little bit going with the theme I started last month with the layout, using just a few different products, not so many, but this one has, well, more than the layout. I'm not cutting everything, but these are like ideas for dimensional paper embellishments, which you can then use in your canvases, cards, or other projects. These are ready paper straws that fitted the color scheme really nicely, but you could also do these yourself using the Prima papers. Let's use it this way so it's nicer. Almost done. Then we need to add the flowers, but as you can see, the heart is a little bit different, this one than this one. And I felt, well, I'm a mixed media styled crafter, so I felt that the heart needed a little bit of something. So I just took some of the paint from the impasto paint to my finger and then went kind of around the edges. Adding a little bit grungy element. And as these are really thick, you are able to kind of keep it, as you can see here, keep it just in the edge if you want to, or go more heavy-handed if you prefer that. A little bit here as well. Like so. A little bit grungified heart. And then before we add the flowers, I also add some mint to the card, as I really like the mint colors in the collection, and the impasto paint mint fits that sheen perfectly. So I'm just diluting it with water so I can actually add some splashes. Some on top of the heart and then going all the way to the background as well. One more thing before I add the last touches are these. I forgot to show you these. These are from the Pretty Mosaic. Again, not something I'm adding to the cards, but wanted to show you. As you can see, I already used a couple of these. But there's the butterflies as they were in the ephemera pack, the lovely flowers, this beautiful wreath. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but you can see what it is. And then the sayings, and all with the golden foil accents. These crystals are actually from a previous collection, because I didn't have the crystals that went for this actual collection. These are from the Heaven Sent. Yeah, splashes. I can't do anything without splashes. Sometimes I challenge myself and be like, no, I can't add any splashes, but then the last thing I do is add the splashes. To me, it doesn't seem ready without those. There's an occasional kind of exception to that rule, but most of the time I always add some white, black, or any color splashes. Then this collection has these beautiful pink roses. Go well to Valentine's theme, but also to kind of spring, Easter. Is that too big? Let's move it a little bit to here. If you're going frugal, you don't have to add the flowers as the kind of last touch. You can build a little bit more, maybe with the paper layers, cut layers, and then just finish it with these or those. I'm using two different flowers from two different sets from the actual collection. Should I add one there or no? Maybe not. That is a bit big. I'm a bit hesitant. Maybe I'll remove it and use it on another project. More beautiful flowers for another project. Let's mimic the one I have already done and add just a little flowers here. Heippa Karita! Korttia täällä pykätään kovin. Vähän niin kuin ystävänpäivä teemalla. Jos on jotain kysyttävää, niin vastailen niihin sitten. Mutta kaikki paperit on ollut tuosta yhdestä uudesta kokoelmasta nimeltään Pretty Mosaic. Ja samoin kukat on siitä. Nämä on ihan valmiita nämä paperipillit. Ja sitten viimeisenä niin tulee vanhemmasta kokoelmasta Heaven Sent. Vähän noita kimaltelevia kiviä siihen. You love the big flower on the top. Well, okay. Then let's move it. I was a little hesitant if it's too big, but if you like it, then let's use it. Here we go. So I doubled a little bit of Finnish. My native tongue just went through the thing we're now doing. Then I'm then adding this here still. Something my husband always says, don't overdo it. Yeah, so maybe I'll just add the finishing touches with the little crystals. Again, if you want to be frugal, you could use, for example, buttons, or then make your own using hot glue gun to make those dimensional shapes, and then color them using Finnabar waxes or paints. Let's nope. Yeah, like that. Joo, tulee tallennuksena tämä. So here we go. I did put the flower back. You need to see the Finnabar stencils. Well, as the card is now done, let me go and grab those stencils. Just a moment. Oops, there's something falling. Let me move these aside for a while. Moving from Pretty Mosaic to Finnabar stencils. As you can see, I've already used this one. I think this was called something like dandelion. And, well, I've already used it in a couple of projects, so I guess you know that it's kind of my favorite. And then there's... Maybe I should have some kind of dark paper underneath. You can actually see something. Here we go. This one is Floral Net. And then Laurels, another one of my favorite. Makes me think of like old books. And just look at this. Read My Letter is the name. And this thin, really fine details of script. You need something really thick to go with this to actually have that crisp, lovely feel. Then vintage wallpaper. A little bit of baroque effect on that. Another gorgeous one. Mind Games. A mix between letters and then just a checked pattern. Oriental Wall. This actually reminds me of the wallpaper my now husband, then boyfriend had in his room like 20 years ago. We just had our wedding anniversary yesterday. And then this one is called Gothic. Beautiful kind of Gothic script. And I also grabbed these. Again, I'm played with this one already. Mattifax Old White. They are, as the labeling says, matte. So amazing for kind of dusty or, how do you say, shabby chic style projects. And then two of the blue-green palette, Patina Green and Patina Blue. And then two of the rust kind of colors, Rusty Brown and Rusty Red. And then Charcoal Black. Really yummy. And they are matte, as the labeling says. So totally different in that way from the previous waxes. Can't wait to play a little bit more with these. So probably the live I'm doing then next month is with the new Finnabar stencils and waxes. I'm kind of pretty sure about that. So let's get back to the card. Here was my sample, here's what I did, and you can also do the gatefold version. Just remember to adhere it just to the other side. Sorry, I can't speak anymore. So if you have any questions, just add them there on the side below, wherever it is. And thank you so much for joining, and hope to see you next month again, and hope you can get to play with the new products really fast. So thank you, bye!